Hi, good afternoon. How are you? I hope I find you well. Apologies that I have jumped in here a couple of minutes late. I was just trying to sort some things out. I still am. There we go. We're in. I think I'm done. I said when I started these a couple of weeks ago that I want to do them at a set time. I think that's important. But now, because I've said I'm going to do it at a set time, I've got sort of that in my mind, and I'm always trying to sort of get something ready before I do that. But I'm here now. It's great to see you. It's only 9 minutes past, only a couple of minutes late for my third Facebook Live at 5 on a Wednesday afternoon. I've really enjoyed doing the last couple. It's been really nice to get a bit of a conversation going in the comments and to talk to a few of you guys about, what you think, because I've been bringing a sort of debate, a sort of discussion into these chats. And I've enjoyed that. And I'm going to tell you the question for this week in a minute. First of all, I want to talk about myself, because there'll be people on here who are thinking, what are you doing? What are you on about? But before I do that, I'm just going to double check on my phone to check that it's coming through in the way I think. And I'm going to share it with my personal page, so people who know me may come over. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm thinking. If I can find out the way to do that. Personal page, so people who know me. There we go. You can hear me. May share. That's what I wanted to do. Come over. That's what I'm hoping. Shh. All right. Hi, Alison. I've got a message. I've got a comment coming through, which is great to see. All right. So if you don't know me, my name is Luke Richardson. I'm an author of thrillers. My 3 books are on the shelf behind me. Kathmandu is number 1. Hong Kong is number 2. Berlin is number 3. And that's important for the question today, actually, because I'll come to that in a second. And then my 3 books. The prequel to Kathmandu is with my beta readers at the moment. And that's going to sit before Kathmandu. That's a shorter story, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in the broadcast today. I've got a section that I'm going to read to you, which I'm really excited about. I've only shared it with half a dozen people already, so that's upcoming. And I'm working on New York, which is going to be the 5th, then the 5th in the series. So that's where I'm working at the moment. So this is broadcasting live on Facebook via my page. It's broadcasting on Twitter via my profile on there, and it will be on YouTube afterwards. If you're watching it afterwards, obviously you can't get involved in the chat, but it will be but it's still good that you're there. Let me have a look at some comments and let's see where we're at. We've got Alison with us. Hello, Alison. Great to see you. We've got Javison with us. Hi, join us on Twitter. Brilliant. Fantastic. And he says, you're an author. Cool. Yes, I am. Thank you for taking the time to pop in and say hello. I'm going to introduce the question of today's discussion. The last 3 weeks, I've given you a question that I've got an opinion on. It's all to do with writing and books, and I want to see what your thoughts are. Today's question: do you like to read a series in order, or do you just dive in? Now, I'm not going to tell you what I think yet. We're going to talk about this at the end, so in about 10 minutes time after I've done a couple of other things, but I want you to have a think about it. Get your comments in on the comment box, and I'll scroll back up through at the end and we'll talk about it together. Do you read a series in order? Do you think, I must go and read book 1 first? Or do you just think, that book looks great, read it, and then you realize that it's book 4 or 5 in the series, you get to the end and you pop back and have to read the other ones afterwards? And I suppose another question to this is, do you read from book 1 right the way through to book 5 without reading other books in between? I quite often think that I read book 1 or whatever, and then I'll have a break and go and read something else. Then I come back and do the others if I enjoy it. What do you think? Pop your thoughts in the comments, and I'm going to come back through those later. Also, if you'd like to like and share this video, that's amazing. If you think someone would be interested in the sort of stuff that I'm talking about, that would be incredible too. Okay. First thing that I want to talk to you about next is, where is it? This Kathmandu, my first book. Loads of people have read that. It's amazing to see and to talk to people about that. But for a very, very short time, Kathmandu is available for free. Here it is. It's not the hardback version. It's not the paper version, I'm afraid. I'm not giving you that for free. It's the ebook version, just for postage reasons. I would if it were free to get it to you. It's available for absolutely nothing, zilch, diddly squat, nada, whatever. Okay, nothing. All you have to do is visit that website on the link, Luke Richardson, author, Kathmandu giveaway, and you'll be able to download that in the perfect format for whatever device you want: Kindle, iPhone, iPad, whatever e-reader, you know, that sort of thing. Okay, there's the link. Where is it? There it is on the screen. Kathmandu giveaway. That's what you need to do to read that. And one of the reviews, my review of the week, is about Kathmandu as well. So I'll talk to you about that as well. Yes, review of the week. Let's go straight on to that. Review of the week. Every week I do one of these. I've been sharing one of my favorite reviews of that week. It's not necessarily a new review. It's not necessarily one I've got in the last week, although it could be. It's just a review that I really like, and I've chosen Kathmandu this time because we've already had Berlin, we've already had Hong Kong. I'm going to have Kathmandu, and it was one that was left. Excuse me. It was one that was left a little while ago, and I just go back and read some of the positive reviews every so often. This is one of the earlier ones. Just finished Kathmandu. It was a very gripping, well-written book. The story is interesting and has twists and turns. I've only taken one star off as the ending is not the ending. I know, I've actually written an epilogue now, which goes at the end of the book. So the ending is now a bit more detailed than it used to be, because a couple of people said that. You have to read the next book to find out what happens, and I always feel that's a bit of a cheat. Having said that, I was very taken by the book and couldn't put it down. So I guess it has me gripped for book 2. I enjoy how well it was written too, which is not true of many books. A great new writer. Thank you for that, whoever left that review. I'm going to do all the reviews anonymous on these Facebook Lives. I'm going to do all the reviews anonymous on this Facebook Live. Hi, John, and hi, Ian, for joining us. I'm going to talk about your comment in a bit, Ian. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, if you read Kathmandu, if you've read it already, what did you think? Comments, sort it out. And if you haven't read it yet, you can get it free for a very, very limited time. There's the link. Kathmandu giveaway. LukeRichardson.com/Kathmandu giveaway. Okay, right. What I'm going to do is I just want to have a look at something. I don't think I've managed to share this properly as I should. I'm going to load it up over here and have a look whilst I'm talking to you about some things. So the question we're discussing a little bit later in this conversation, for those of you who have just joined us, do you like to read a series in order, or can you just jump around? Are you not bothered? Can you just jump around to any order going? What do you think? What do you think? There we go. Excuse me. I'm just, as I say, what I want to do is share this video to people who follow me personally, because I find that it's on my page, my Luke Richardson author page, and there's 300 people or so on there, but I want to share it to my people on my actual page. And annoyingly, there's no real straightforward way to do that, because I have to do it whilst I'm talking. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. Which means I just have to sit here and mess around on the computer for a little while, which isn't very polite, is it? But there we go. Apologies for that. Right, share to my timeline. Fantastic. Right, that's the question. Next, I want to talk to you about this, Koh Tao, which is, as I say, the prequel to Kathmandu. So it was set 2 years before Kathmandu sort of exists, and it involves Leo and his girlfriend who goes missing on Koh Tao. And Koh Tao is a fascinating island in the Gulf of Thailand. And what I'd like to do now, if it's okay with you, is just read 2 chapters to you. They're not the first 2 chapters. I'm just choosing 2 chapters to read for you. But I want to say this before I do. I'm releasing Kathmandu in a little bit of a different way. I'm not releasing it in the traditional way, like on Amazon and these sorts of things. I'm releasing it for the first month at least, maybe longer, exclusively only to people on my mailing list, because I like to look after you guys. Okay, so you'll get it. It'll be paid for. There'll be a link you go and you pay some money for it, but it won't be available via Amazon and the normal places. Okay, so if you're interested in reading this book straight away, like in about 2 weeks when it comes out, what you need to do is get yourself on my mailing list, and the link is right there. Do that now whilst I'm reading these first couple of chapters to you. Right, and I've got them right here. Okay. Excerpt from Koh Tao. Across the Gulf of Thailand, the city of Champon laboured into the night. For many residents whose work for the day was complete, it was time to prepare food. As their lights blazed, the smell of lemongrass, lime and fish tumbled into the night. For the men who worked at the city's dockyard, though, the shift was just beginning. They were required to unload the freighters, which arrived with electronics from China, clothes from Bangladesh, or cars from Japan, at whatever the time of day or night. It was heavy, desperate and thankless work. A small army of women worked at the docks too. Their job was to sort the fish coming in on the trawlers. Snapper for the tables of Champon, barracuda for Phuket, or sometimes marlin for Bangkok. A cacophony of shouts erupted as one such fishing trawler neared the far end of the oil-stained wharf. Dirty green in colour, it sat beneath an array of nets and pulleys. The craft shimmered under the bright electric lights. A man jumped from the boat and secured it with 2 ropes, one at the bow, one at the stern. Then great baskets of fish, glistening silver, got passed up to the quay and emptied across the wharf's dusty concrete. In a desperate attempt to evade their coming deaths, some of the stronger fish began flicking their fins and tails. A tuna, its scales shimmering an oily green, flapped towards the ocean. "Got it!" shouted a fisherman, bringing his heavy boot down on the fish's silver head. "Little bastard almost escaped," he said to the rest of the crew in their native Burmese. The fisherman removed his boot and stared into the dark, lifeless eyes. "You go free and my family don't eat," he thought, kicking it back into the pile. Life on these shores is hard. Further down the wharf, beyond a dormant ship-to-shore crane, a rust-coloured freighter lay heavily in the water. Cries of the dock workers echoed from the boat's open hold. Beneath the decks, cars were inched into position, boxes stacked, and livestock secured for the 6-hour crossing. As soon as possible, they were already late. The boat would make the crossing from Champon to Thailand's Gulf Coast to the island of Koh Tao. A group of tourists stood on the top deck and watched the dark-skinned, thick-armed dockers load the final few boxes. With their bright clothes and smartphones, they were at odds with the decrepit freighter. These tourists had rejected the speed of the daytime catamaran or the powerful engine of the tourist boat in pursuit of what they thought to be the real Thailand. Why they would choose to spend the night on this slow hunk of steel rather than the comfortable air conditioning of the tourist boats was a mystery to the ship's owners. Their money was gladly accepted, though. Leo and Maya watched the preparations below. Their trip around Asia had been the best 2 months of Leo's 26 years. And, as he looked at Maya now, focused on the scene below, he thought about the decision he'd made. It was the right thing to do, definitely. To be here with this woman was just incredible. One of the men shouted as the final checks were made and the ramp was raised. The ship was untied, and with a guttural thump from its strong diesel engines, they finally broke out into the inky blue ocean. For half an hour, Leo and Maya watched the shore fade into a twinkling necklace of pearls. Stars peppered the sky above them. Leo gazed up with wide-eyed amazement. The stars were never like this in his home city of Brighton. You got the occasional star that bullied its way through the sky of perpetual grey, but nothing like this. Here, out in the Gulf of Thailand, there were stars between stars, stars shimmering in great swathes from one side to the other. "Let's try and get some sleep," Maya shouted over the rumbling engine. "Come on, we've got to claim our bunks. They'll all be taken otherwise. You don't want to be sleeping out here, do you?" Just wait a second," Leo said, looking at Maya. She was beautiful. Her hair, longer than she used to keep it at home, was tied up with a colourful band they bought in Bangkok a few days ago. Her eyes seemed even larger than usual beneath the glittering stars and the boat's weak lights. It was as though their pupils, the colour of the daytime ocean, absorbed him completely. Now would be a good time, Leo thought, his hand reaching for his wallet. The other pair of tourists on the top deck headed below. Leo and Maya were alone, with the endless black silk of the ocean below and a flawless tapestry of stars. Just wait a minute, Leo said again. He stepped closer to the woman he knew he'd follow to the ends of the earth. A man climbed the stairs behind them and stood looking out at the ocean. He was a similar age to Leo and Maya and was muscular and lean. Maya's eyes flicked in his direction. Her lips curved at the edges. Leo took a step towards Maya. Now would be the perfect time to ask the most important question of his life. Leo heard a thunderous, splintering crack. It sounded as though the boat had been driven into a wall of rock. The deck moved below him. With his eyes wide, Leo watched as the great steel bow of the ship reared upwards. Okay, there's my extract from Koh Tao. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was, I hope that sort of whet your appetite to an extent, got you thinking about the book to come. I know that can be a little bit mean to sort of tease you with that. All right, what were we talking about earlier? Do you like to read a series in order, or do you just dive in? I suppose with people like myself, releasing books out of order, like that's going before Kathmandu, isn't it? I suppose that doesn't make it any easier for you. John, thank you for your comment. I prefer to read in order, but have in the past read a book which I didn't realise was part of a series and then gone back to the earlier ones. I agree with you, John. I've done that a few times. I've just picked up a book, thought it looked great, and then realised actually that it was the fourth or fifth and gone back to the previous ones. John, do you read them in order sort of exclusively, or do you read book one and then go off for a couple of months and read something else and then come back for book two, or do you just read one straight through to however many there are and then go on and read another series? Alison, I do like to read in order but can never wait for the author to finish. I was lucky with your books because I read them in a couple of weeks. Yes, you didn't you? Because you only heard of me, when I was releasing Berlin, I think, didn't you? So you could just read them all at once. Apologies, you're now having to wait a little bit longer for the next one. And Javison says he likes to read them in order as well. That's reassuring, isn't it? That's reassuring. That's good that people do that, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, would you start with book 3 or book 4 if that sort of appealed to you more, do you reckon? Would you think, the blurb on this one's better? Say mine, for example, Berlin is the third one. If you'd lived in Berlin, if you knew about Berlin, would you think, I'll just jump straight in and read that one rather than the other two? Don't know. I'm not sure. There we go. Interesting to think. If you've watched this afterwards, I'm still interested to hear your comments. Pop them in the comments of the video underneath. As a quick reminder, Kathmandu, there it is. My first book is available for free. It's a giveaway for just a couple of weeks, a very, very, very limited time. There's the link, lukerichardsonauthor.com/Kathmandu giveaway. I'm excited to share this. Now I've got a couple more books out. I like sharing this one because it really introduces you to the series, and we can then sort of talk about that. We can then have a conversation in that. Martha says, reading in order is the best option for me. That's good. No one's actually come out. And I don't think I'm surprised about this, actually. No one's actually jumped on here and said, I just like to read them backwards. I hate reading them in order. It's too easy that way. I like to give myself a challenge. Maybe, is anyone like that? Have I asked a bit of a stupid question, perhaps? I don't know. John says he usually mixes it up, but sometimes a series grips him and you binge them over a few days. Now, I heard, John, that Netflix did some research into this, and they found that a number of people, whether they do it consciously or not, don't ever watch a series until there's 2 or 3 series, because they don't enjoy just watching one. They want to be able to binge 3 or 4 series over the course of a weekend or a week off or something like that. And that made me think, actually, like if there's more, that encourages more sort of reading. Martha says, usually if the books are available, she will read them all. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. Just a quick reminder of Koh Tao again. I've told you about this. If you're wanting to read that, I know it's going to be out of order, like not out of order, like naughty or bad. I know it's going to be out of order as in the order that you read them in, because it's a prequel to Kathmandu. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I hope you can deal with that. I mean, it's a couple of years before, and it does answer some questions that haven't sort of been answered, haven't, that sort of stand over the course of Kathmandu. Either way, that's where you need to go. The mailing list. Alison, I lived in Germany, so Berlin sounded good to me. You've also lived in Hong Kong, have you? Blimey, you're really international. That's interesting. I'd like to live in both those places. I've visited both those places, obviously, but haven't lived in those places. But no, they're both great places. I always write my books in places that I like. In fact, for the topic of conversation, Alison, I just saw a message that you sent me before I came live. And for the topic of our conversation, I think next week I'm going to do a topic like that, sort of what city or what country would be great to set a book in, something like that. I've got loads of ideas where I'd like to go, where I'd like to set them. Istanbul has been one that I've thought about for a long time. Dubai is one of Steve Moore and my books is set in Dubai, so I've been writing that, and I like the idea that perhaps I write one of my own books there as well. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about this too much, because that could be next week's topic. Okay, last time I'm going to talk about this. You know about it already. There it is. That's what we're doing. That's where you go and get your free copy of Kathmandu. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for all of your comments. It's been lovely to have this conversation as ever. Bookmark the time. I'm doing this at 5 UK time every Wednesday afternoon for the next few weeks at least. I don't know I'll do it forever, for the rest of my life, but for the next few weeks as well. And it's been really nice to get in contact with you and get in touch with you. Thanks so much. I'll speak to you again soon.